been displaced and denied any prospect of an education or a future. Denied access to schooling and care that was previously provided by international aid agencies. And I fear that another generation will now grow up knowing nothing but the grim reality of war. What is also clear is that the time to act is now, before this crisis descends into catastrophe, though from what we've heard today, we are now on the very brink of that catastrophe. I give way.
David? Can I congratulate her on securing this debate and for the remarks she's making? While we are seeing a catastrophe at the moment unfold, and we need urgent action, both from the British government putting pressure on the Sri Lankan government and the international community putting pressure, I'm afraid this is a story that many of us have been seeing unfolding for several years now, with the Sri Lankan government's unwillingness to allow human rights groups to go and monitor the undermining of human rights in the Tamil communities and Tamil area of the island. Does she agree with me that it's time that the British government was much stronger against the Colombo government on its failure to allow even human rights monitoring of the conflicts in the north and east of the island?
John Ryan?
Well, we are here today to urge the British government to say and do more. That is undoubtedly the truth. But I also think that the British government has raised its voice on these matters, and it rests upon all parties in this House to do that together. I think it is clear that we are on the very brink of catastrophe, and I think that's why the timing of this debate is in fact very important. And if it is not the international aid agencies, then who will ensure that the Tamils have somewhere to sleep, something to eat, access to health services and some security? I fear it will also not be the government of Sri Lanka, which is, I think, the point the Honourable Gentleman is making. I'm grateful to the High Commissioner for providing me with an accurate and up-to-date briefing on the situation. I was also pleased to note in it that the High Commissioner acknowledged that the conflict cannot be solved through military means and reaffirmed his full commitment to finding a lasting political solution. This is, of course, a position I know members endorse as eminently sensible, and in previous debates that point has been made time and time again. Nonetheless, it seems to me that the priority of the government of Sri Lanka is not addressing the humanitarian situation, nor working to restore the ceasefire, but on the back of their military successes in the east, to achieve a decisive military victory in the north. The forced withdrawal can only be understood in the broader context of what Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch and International Crisis Group describe as a, quote, a quite deliberate and sustained government campaign to vilify and intimidate international agencies and their staff. That the press is not free in Sri Lanka is well known. Dissenting voices are frequently subject to harassment, physical attacks and even assassination. What is perhaps less well known is that international aid agencies are subject to similar pressures. And in the course of my preparation for this debate, I spoke with a number of representatives of aid agencies, and I was shocked but not surprised at their reluctance to speak out publicly on the situation in the north, in part for fear of government reprisals. These agencies, in addition to their vital humanitarian functions, are also the eyes of the world. And in August alone, some 1,750 people in the Vanni contacted the International Committee of the Red Cross with allegations of human rights abuses. Provoked by suicide bombs, yes, freed by the constraining gaze of the international community and emboldened by their apparent successes in the East, I fear that the government of Sri Lanka may have deceived itself into believing that it can press home its advantage, win a decisive military victory in the north and thereby achieve a permanent solution. But there can be no military solution while the underlying political grievances are addressed. Until the underlying political grievances are addressed, some form of violent resistance is almost certain, and the government of Sri Lanka could not indefinitely control and pacify the Tamil areas in the north. The only long-term solution will be a political one, achieved through inclusive political negotiations that satisfy the legitimate aspirations of all communities in Sri Lanka. In short, this must mean genuine devolution to the Tamil-speaking areas in the north and the east. But genuine Genuine negotiations can only begin when a ceasefire has been established. So the restoration of the ceasefire must be an urgent priority for the government of Sri Lanka.
Stephen Pound.
I'm grateful for my right honourable friend giving way, and I actually feel guilty of interrupting her flow, which many of us are listening to with great admiration and sympathy. On September the 30th, the honourable gentleman, the member for Dewsbury, had a meeting with members of the Tamil Forum about the particular crisis in Kinotchki. And the British government at that time said that they would wish to give aid, including the vitally needed snakebite serum, directly to that area. If it cannot be provided through NGOs, it must be provided through local Tamil organisations. Does my right honourable friend feel that that is the way that we have to be proceeding with?
I do think they're important points that my honourable friend has made, and I hope the Minister will be able to shed some light on these matters very shortly. Proposals for proper devolution for an autonomous Tamil province were made. It is only on the basis of a ceasefire that meaningful negotiations can proceed and a solution can be found. Such a prospect, however, while obviously urgent, seems at the moment more distant than ever. In the meanwhile, the suffering in the Vanni continues unabated. Any approach to the situation must therefore be twofold. On the one hand, there must be urgent action to tackle the immediate humanitarian situation. In my view, this must include the government allowing access for aid organisations and ensuring that aid reaches those who need it. On the other, the government of Sri Lanka, being the party that formally withdrew from the agreement, must make a genuine and sustained effort to re-establish a ceasefire, stem the increase in violence and return to talks about peace. In this, the 60th year of the anniversary of the independence of Ceylon from the United Kingdom, the case for a settlement in Sri Lanka seems more urgent than ever, and the peace dividends more appealing than ever. A peace not for Tamils, not for Sinhalese, but for Sri Lanka.